Welcome, 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 welcome. No, I didn't sell you guys out. I'm not in Canada. There's a Canadian flag up to the right. And maybe we're celebrating Canada on the Red Pill News, or maybe we're thinking about Canada. I know that, there's people in Canada that I love. So I'll say it that way. But if Joe could change out that Canadian flag, hey, Joe, how about like an American flag or something, man? Let's celebrate the country, or give me some New York flag, anything like that. Anyway, welcome, 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 welcome on the show. You know, does the Canadian flag piss me off? The Canadian flag is to me is like a socialist flag. You know, and I don't like it. The maple leaf I can live with. You know what I mean? But anything else? I think that the government. Well, there you go. You got some beautiful red, white, and blue. I love that. So I think the government, in Canada is a socialist government. It's turned into that over the years. It used to be the last bastion of freedom loving people in the United States. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, stuff's getting bad here. I'm going to Canada. I'm like, what are you gonna get up in Canada? You gotta find some girls with that Canadian whooping stick. You ever hear about that whooping stick? The women laugh when I say that because they know it's true. They laugh awkwardly, ah, ha, ha, because they know it's true. They got the whooping stick. That's why the Canadian men are so what's a good word for it? Docile, I guess, man. Docile, wimpy. Oh, excuse me, wimped out. Oh, excuse me. I'm not gonna diss all the Canadian men. Come on, you got Dudley Do Right. He's pretty badass, right? Squeaky clean. He's probably virgin. You know what I mean? We don't play like that in New York. you know, we're just on the other side of the lake or river, but we don't play like that down here, man. Men are still men in New York. Maybe not by what your television tells you, but men are still men. I don't want to hear about that toxic masculinity crap either. I want to hear I'm a buffalo and I'm proud of it. That's right. Be a buffalo because that's the only part of that dignity you can hold on to in this world. You may have to lie in an application and tell your boss that you wear stockings if you're there just to get a job because they're hiring only diversity. It's bad out there, man. If you are looking for a job in this job market, and from all accounts of the media, oh, a lot of jobs created. There's a lot of jobs out there. No, there's not. They advertise, but they don't get back to you. You try going on Indeed and you look at some of those jobs and how many applicants, 2,500 applicants, for one job. You're better off winning the lottery, right? 2,500 applicants, man. Or 100. How about 100? Even 100. There's 100 people going for the job, one job, and you're sitting there like what? So that's the lie. It's all about lies in this government. They're gonna lie and lie and lie and get you to try to believe their bull crap. And there's no prosperity. There is no this is not a good economy. There's no prosperity. When I hear Biden say the economy's good, he's nuts, man. He's crazy. His economy's good, apparently, from all of Hunter Biden's laptop stuff. The laptop that the CIA said didn't exist and FBI didn't exist and all these agencies and then all these people in the media, of course, which are a bunch of twats, didn't exist. That was the lie. So inside of all these lies, you just have to live your life, take care of the people around you, love the people around you, and approach life with dignity because that's the only way you're going to get through. Only way you're going to get through. Otherwise, it's done. You're going to just focus. I have friends focused, laser focused on what's going on in the government. I'm like, you know what? You're gonna die of a heart attack with this. The reason why I still have my hair and still brown is because I don't focus on all of this dismal stuff. I talk about it, I laugh at it, I make fun of it, but I know that it's always been like that. When you look at the debt, when you look at the decline of civilization, this has been going on for decades. And the same politicians, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Mitch McConnell, people like that, have been there for decades. They took representation to another level and made it a career for themselves. Now they are embedded dirty, on the bribe, taking people. And look what they do. They can't even support our judicial system. To hear the Democrats speak all these terrible things about our Supreme Court and the decisions they just struck. Those were honest decisions. And if they went the other way, the liberals would be all happy and dancing, but they're not. So now they're protesting and they're angry. Listen, these issues aren't very easy issues to begin with to even discuss. It's hard to talk politics with people in general, even if they agree with you. It's still difficult because it's a very stressful conversation, and it's not really something that is worthwhile to be discussed in groups of friends. I mean, same for religion, really. But I'm just looking at the big picture, and like the Ukraine. You got this Putin. Putin calls in retired obese general to fight in Ukraine. This guy's bigger than the whole Ukraine. They just drop him in the middle. Yeah, and that'd be it. No room left in the Ukraine. This is Russian territory because of my fat gut and big ass. I take over. That's a new way of doing it. Right? This guy, when they shoot a missile at this guy, there's going to be a lot of cleanup. Vladimir Putin has a new heavy to help lead his troops in eastern Ukraine. The Russian dictator just brought an obese general out of retirement to aid in his country's battle in the region after the loss of senior officers since Russia invaded its neighbor in February. February till now. Think about the craziness on how many generals they lost, how many colonels they lost. They lost the Wagner. I mean, this is Putin's private army, his mercenaries. Everybody, including me, thought that Russia had an element of badass going on, but it turns out that it's just another big lie. Another big lie. Oh, they have nukes. They can nuke people. Yeah. So do we. So do they. Whatever. You know what I mean? They're crazy enough to use it. Somebody will sooner or later. That it is written. There's no such thing as a useless weapon. So somebody will sooner or later, and these people are godless people. They don't believe in anything. They believe in power and corruption. Power by any means. They'll do anything to create a power base and keep people in line. They're dictators. Same thing for every government. Don't tell me the American government is anything different. It's about keeping people at bay, keeping people on the hook, keeping people in debt, keeping people at their lowest moment, keeping their heads just above water, so they have nothing else to concentrate on except their own personal survival through that day. Does the government care about your personal survival? No, they don't care about your personal survival. Look at all the criminals they're releasing in all these cities. Out, in and out, in and out. They come out, they shoot police officers, kill police officers, they kill other people too. Blah, blah, blah. That's what they do. That's what they do. It's a game. It's a game of push and pull, and you're in the middle, and they know it, and that's how they dice up the pie between the two parties. So, all right, the beefy new military honcho. He's more fat than beef, if you want to get technical. And I'm rough on fat people because I consider myself fat. And I lost a bunch of weight and I gained a bunch of weight back during this COVID crap. And now I'm losing weight again, doing a good job of it, and working out and getting my stuff back together again. And it's a battle. But this dude, he's rich enough to have all kinds of. Let me tell you, if I had that kind of money that this fat Russian general had, man, I would have a team of athletic, like like aerobic type of people helping me work out. And other stuff. I'd be, that guy. Instead, this guy is rolling in borscht. Borscht, 67 years old. General Pavel, 67 years old. Wonder how long it's going to take for this guy to get blown up for real. He'll lead the Russian special forces in the region after the previous commander. Yeah, if they stand behind him, nobody will get shot. All right. A senior intelligence source told the Tab that the mafia boss, Putin, was scraping the barrel by calling on the general, who weighs in at an estimated 280 pounds. This guy's fatter than 280 pounds. Come on. Unless he's like 5 feet tall. No, he ain't no 280 pounds. I know weight. I know size. This porker, and he's wearing camouflage, which doesn't help him any, man. This porker weighs, I'd say, 400 pounds without even thinking about it. He's the one who gave that weight to the media because they don't even know 280 pounds. All right. He reportedly eats 5 meals a day. Isn't that the diabetic? Eat 5 meals a day, all washed down with at least a liter of vodka, and needs 2 sets of body armor to cover his girth. Oh my God. I think that it wouldn't be too much. I don't think body armor can work. I'm sorry, man. Oh my God. This is the dude that Putin's like going to save the war. He's going to send in the parade balloon. The general is reportedly a veteran of Russia's war of Afghanistan in 1980s, which they lost horribly, like us. Most of Putin's best, you don't go to war in Afghanistan. You just don't do it. Have you ever played the game of Risk? It always comes down to that area, man. Ugh. Most of Putin's best and battle hardened senior commanders have been killed or injured fighting in the Ukraine, so he is resorting to sending second rate. Second rate. This is it. This isn't even the picture that he wants to show the world of who's running his army. They're gonna get this guy just to roll over everybody. It ain't working. Yeah, he's dragging to the bottom of the barrel. Putin is like a mafia boss who nobody can refuse to obey. If a retired general, you know what? If some rich billionaire out there put a $10 billion price tag on this dude, Putin, he'd be gone. He'd be gone. One of the closest people to him would splatter his brains out. He'd be gone. Just saying. You know what I mean? So it's more of the battle of push and pull, isn't it? I'd say. I'd say. So, and you don't hear much about the Ukraine. You little blibs and blurbs. People have a very, very, very short attention span. Yeah, like a YouTube attention span. Things are good for maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and you want to click away. Some little picture or something comes up, you want to click away. Television is different. Television, you gotta just surf, 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 surf. I hate cable TV. I don't use cable TV. I go to hotels, it's there, and I put it on as background noise, and I find myself just shutting it off. It's so obnoxious. The commercials are obnoxious. The commercials are politically motivated. They are ridiculously untrue. I don't care what you think. These commercials, I've seen these commercials, like they're just ridiculous. Like ridiculously untrue, and much like Hollywood, much everything. The image that they push is not the true image, and you often wonder why they really do it. For the whole politically correct maneuvers, and it's not something anybody really needs to be associated with, right? I'd say, but you know, there's lies inside of lies inside of lies. That's why I don't believe people when they say stuff to me. Take it with a grain of salt. It's not worth to believe, right? Like wind turbines. They renewable energy. It's great stuff. Wind turbines, right? And when I was driving out west through the Midwest, they're all over the place. They dot the landscape. You feel like you're in a giant blender driving through there. Just freaking it. And you notice one thing about most of them, that they're not moving, and they only allow them to move some of the time. Whether it's windy or not. It was really windy those days, and it's not moving. So what they cost to make, the millions, cost a couple million per these wind towers, and then another 400,000 or 500,000 to decommission, to take the thing apart. Blades are huge. I don't know if you ever seen one in person, but they're ginormous, man. And now there's a problem that that they can't be recycled. The blades, they're ending up in landfills. I mean, you go online and see these photos of these giant blades taking up landfills. And you're saying you're trying to protect the environment, with these things. So you can't turn them into coffee tables. whatever you're doing. Plus, it's fiberglass. It's deadly stuff. You don't want to be breathing fiberglass, being around that if it breaks or splinters and whatever it does. Fiberglass is crappy stuff. You know, here, your wind turbine blades can't be recycled, so they're piling up in landfills. Companies are searching for ways to deal with the tens of thousands of blades that have reached the end of their lives. So same. Even like the big batteries, the Tesla batteries, that type of thing. They can take them out and sort of refurbish them a bit. They can use them in household systems and that type of thing. But eventually they're going to be done. And then you got to do something with them after. And they're trying to think of what they're going to do, and they have some solutions. So, but in this case, you don't. But even the batteries, you need electricity to charge the batteries. You need something that makes electricity to charge batteries, usually a generator. Usually those generators or power systems are powered by fossil fuels, right? Electric cars breaking down on the road. They're going to send out a diesel generator to crank it up and charge the thing so it can get the hell out of the way. It's ridiculous. So on one hand, then like in California, though, they're saying, they don't want brownouts or blackouts because of all the stuff going on out there with the heat and the wind and power systems and whatever and fires and all that stuff. So they're saying don't use your electric car. So which is it? At least I can fill my tank with gasoline, and I know I'm going to get somewhere. I have gas pains like you wouldn't believe. Gasoline's I pay $5.50 a gallon here in New York for a mid grade because I'm not going to put regular unleaded in my Jeep. It's not even barely made for lawnmowers, regular unleaded. So, all right, the wind turbine blades can be longer than a Boeing 747 wing. So, and that's pretty long. And then here they are filling up, and they're saying they're saving the environment. So whatever. I don't think they have a solution for anything. These people, and it's just one company cutting your throat against another company cutting your throat, and some politicians stuffing the money in their pockets. And it's always been like that. And if you know about robber barons, it's always been like that. So when you think that you want things to change, but change comes from within, you know. And I think that you know, I think it's ugly. That's what I think. It's ugly. And obviously, conservative speech is being suppressed in socialist media. You have that, a nice forum for people to come together and discuss their ideas and have an open debate. Nope. Because these companies are going to cut your throat, and they don't like what you say. They're going to restrict you, and whatever, you know. And for what? Because not because you're showing inappropriate material, not because you're making threats or anything like that, but because you're speaking your mind, or you're being funny, or you have a funny meme to post or something like that. And then here comes the Facebook police, and here comes these others. Who are they to do that? It's their application, but they're policing their application to a degree that's unnecessary and wrong. Plus, they're labeling people. When others know that you're restricted or suspended, especially what if your boss finds out? What if you have other employees and they find out and they start talking? Oh yeah, he got restricted on Facebook. Must have put something pretty bad out there. You're dead in a court of public opinion. So that's something also. There's libel and malice going on there. Suspending people for nothing, literally for nothing. And that's what's going to happen at some point. People are going to stop using it. They're going to stop using it. They're going to say this isn't worth it. I have to say, with Facebook, I made some good, close personal friends from around the world. People were never met in everyday life, certainly, and they've enriched my lives. And I regret at some point that I'll be done with Facebook. I only have a handful of people left on there, and the people that I really like, we talk otherwise. So I don't need to be part of Facebook to talk to them. And I'm not, right now Facebook is so full of hackers, and it's so full of fake people with fake profiles trying to get you on there to get your information. It's got so much of that. And at the same time, they're spending time going after people, restricting them for nonsense. And they have real people out there trying to steal your information, trying to hack into your system or whatever. At some point, it's going to become so frustrating, no one's going to want to use it. And that's going to be it. That's going to be it. Already the Meta, that meta tag, the new metaverse that Zuckerberg has, is going down from their original initial purchase offer, and in the stock market 2 years ago has been going down, 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 going to hit the ground. And he's the one who put it out there as a communication device. And if you do that, it's more of a public utility than a private app. So that's something to be considered. But you think he gained these government fiends to go and talk like that? No, because he greases their pockets. They call him in over other stuff, privacy issues, which is ridiculous because people throw their own stuff. One of my friends just before, she's the most paranoid person probably on my friends list. I've been friends with her since kindergarten. All through grade school, we were always in the same class, right? Now she's paranoid. Yeah, she's paranoid of government. She's paranoid of corporations. Paranoid anybody and anybody should be, because they're not your friends, and whatever they want from you, you know what they want from you. They either want your vote or your money, right? And sometimes they want your soul. It depends on religion. Vote, money, but then if they go after your soul, they're going after your wallet also. You know what I mean? So she posts, you ever see these things on Facebook where your favorite color, you this, and do you have any tattoos, and do you have any of all these questions, right? A load of them, and she fills this out and puts it up there. So I put a little meme of Zuckerberg laughing and like shaking his head. Yes, thank you for your information. And she's like, well, that's not security questions. It's not this. It's not that. What they are identifiable questions. They're identifiable answers. So as somebody who does investigations, as somebody who collects data, put it that way, you just told me how many tattoos you had. You told me what your favorite food is. You told me where you work. What you do for a living. You told me basically everything. I could take that information and make a profile of her and approach one of her friends and use some of this information, and they would think it was her because this supposedly is private information. So be careful what you put out there, especially identifiable things. How many tattoos you have or whatever. These are all identity markers. That people can use for anything, mainly for target advertising. But basically for anything. So just be careful out there, and these guys are the ones who are paranoid. So that's interesting, right? So that's Facebook. Let's talk about monkeypox. I just like saying monkeypox, monkeypox, monkeypox. I don't like looking at it though. It's nasty. I run away from anybody who's got some scab. I see if you're bubbling with scabs, I don't even come near you. You're not going to find me with 50 feet downwind or up. I'm gone. Call me the breeze because I'm gone. Don't want you monkeypox. But monkeypox is changing. And scientists are saying it's accelerated evolution. So first you have COVID-19 that covers the globe, literally, released in China from a weapons lab in Wuhan to their little Chinese market to the whole world, right? Didn't take any time to destroy a lot of countries' businesses and be an economic killer. Totally unnecessary too. It also shows how the CDC wasn't ready and other agencies weren't ready for a global pandemic where we should have shut our borders way sooner. But then you had politicians saying that, Trump is anti-Asian and this and that and all this other stuff they were saying. Meanwhile, he was right to close the borders when he did. He should have closed them way sooner. The second they saw the outbreak, they should have closed the borders. In China, they should have closed the borders, but they didn't, because of whatever. I remember Nancy Pelosi was in Chinatown in San Francisco, raising her fist with other people, saying we're not going to close off China and whatever. So yeah, politicians, because of those decisions, lots of people have died, millions around the world, and but you have this virus that came out, changed, it morphed when it first came around. I mean, since 2020, I was working uh, on the COVID-19 surveillance program. So when it came out in 2020, it was, and I joined in late 2020 in December. when there was a huge surge going on. That was more the first version of COVID 19 before you heard the word Delta, before you heard the word Omicron. This is the first one, right? You call people, make sure they're okay, tell them how to quarantine or isolate, that see if they need anything, food, meds, whatever they got, you know. It was a good system, well-oiled machine. Everybody I worked with was fantastic, and we did a good job for everybody, I think. Anyway, but when you think about the virus and you study this virus, because I've been studying the virus, really studying it over this time and watching it change. When Delta came around, it was June of 2021 that the CDC said it was Renfield who actually came out in March of 2020 saying you didn't have to worry about COVID-19. It wasn't going to affect the United States. Nothing to worry about. This was the head of the CDC, Renfield, right? And it was already here in the U.S. at that point. It was already in like Oregon and Washington, and it was in nursing homes right in New York, So then a year later, June, oh, you don't have to worry about it. Delta. Delta is not going to affect people. It's not going to be bad. Delta killed more people than anything. More people got it. It used to be you call somebody if they're in a house full of 5 or 6 people, and they're a contact, they have to quarantine, but the rest of the people in the house didn't really have to if they weren't a contact, right? And sometimes the people who were the contacts got it, sometimes they didn't. 20% maybe, something like that. When Delta came around, you called somebody's house, they all had it. Whether I mean, these weren't people who were confirmed positive. These people were exposed. They all had it just like that, quick. 2 to 14 day incubation period takes a hell of a long time to break in some people. I've talked to people that they were good for 10, 11, 12 days. You thought they're out of the water. Boom. On that final day, they get it in 6 hours in the hospital. That's how it went. Okay. You fight through the surge, a lot of overtime, a lot of pushing, a lot of getting cursed at by people who didn't believe in COVID, that type of crap too, you know. But I realize they're not cursing at me. I'm just a messenger. They don't know me, but just people spouting off who are angry at life anyway. I've been around that enough. So then Omicron rides in on Delta's heels. They said Delta was gonna, you know, the surge was gonna be over. Omicron comes in, more infectious, have shedding very heavily the virus. Same situation. You call people in their home, everybody's sick. No escaping it. I've had people tell me, "Oh yeah, my daughter's fine. She's in a room by herself." Yeah, do you guys use the same bathroom? Oh yeah, we use the same bathroom, but it's fine. It's fine. And 2 days later, oh, my daughter's so sick. She tested positive. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because that's what it is. It's a virus that gets around. So then you have this virus, and they say most people in the United States have had it. We're not at herd immunity because you're not going to get the herd immunity because there's animal wells to think about. The deer and other animals that have this virus, you'd be surprised. The white-tailed deer population and the percentage of them that have COVID-19. So you have all of that going on too. But you have a lot of reinfections. You know, people that get it every month, they keep being exposed. They get a different version. You would think you'd have some kind of immunity built up. Nope. Maybe in some of the people, some of the time, even the vaccines. You get your first dose, second dose, third dose, fourth dose, and then still get it. Boom. Not as severe, at least. Not as severe, but the people that still get it. So now they're saying Omicron has gotten to the point where it's got together with one of its cousins, a B4 and B5. So B1 was that first one. B1, B2, B3. There was three sisters. B2 took over. B3 got out of town. Now you got B4 and B5, which are growing. States aren't doing a lot of testing. There's no money for it. The Democrats approved the money. They use it for something else. There's a lot of COVID money sitting around in governments and schools. They're sitting on it. They haven't used it yet. and they're not motivated to use it, which is ridiculous. They're going to use it for something else. That was their plan the whole time, obviously. So, and then on top of that, testing. There's no money available for the testing. People got to pay for it themselves. The home tests don't really identify Omicron, so that's sort of useless, to do that, and a waste of money. You got to get the PCR test from a reputable person, even like a pharmacy or something like that, or a doctor, of course. And then now you have the two B4 and B5 that have gotten together, and they're canceling out any of these antibodies. They're kind of just waltzing past your immune system and all the stuff that people have worked for. So you have this virus that's going to keep going around and keep going around. As it hits people, their immune system tanks. So if you have a crappy immune system, you encounter other things, other viruses like a monkeypox. That virus is going to take hold. It's going to waltz into its footprints. It's going to battle your immune system. Here's another war coming at you, right? And what you're just going to keep taking a pummeling as time goes on. So when a virus can get into your system, and if your system is not so aptly able to fight it, the virus will accelerate. So here you go. Monkeypox virus may be accelerating. And be careful of the word may, maybe, could. Whenever you read that in a sentence, my lawyer taught me that years ago. You read that in a sentence, that means the sentence is bullcrap. May, you know. So yeah, you throw things up to chances. It's either yes or no. There's no may, there's no could. So anyway, the monkeypox outbreast. What am I thinking? Uh, the mind sees what it wants to see. The monkeypox outbreak, no breasts, that health authorities first noticed in Europe back in May is getting worse. According to the World Health Organization latest report, there are over 2,100 confirmed cases. At least one person has died. So, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, it was like 12. Yeah. So now geneticists finally have enough data to begin the handle on how exactly the outbreak started and where it might be heading. And by the way, they're changing the name monkeypox. They're going to call it something else because they don't want to be racially insensitive to anybody in Africa where they say monkeypox actually came from and where there's monkeys. But you find monkeys all over the place. You think that Central America don't have monkeys? You think that South America don't have monkeys? They're all over the place. Goddamn Monkey Town on Monkey River. They got in Belize. You know what I mean? Everywhere. So let's see. Monkeypox, a viral disease that causes fever and a rash and can be fatal, is an endemic in Africa, which means it's ongoing, right? It's been there. And now it's running amok in every other permanently inhabited continent and evolving quickly, while health officials have the tools that they need to contain it, primarily contact tracing and vaccines. Right now, the virus is moving faster than we are. The current strain of monkeypox had been circulating undetected months before we finally diagnosed the first case outside of Africa. And because there are so many more copies of the virus than we first expected, each mutating separately, this new pox strain could evolve into a dangerous new form with a disturbing speed. So think of chicken pox. Think of any pox, monkeypox, chicken pox, you know, things that are terrible. Couple that, I've been reading a lot of articles about microorganisms and the fact that people with a hand sanitizer and has taken this bacteria and made the bacteria antibiotic resistant because they're getting stronger and stronger. It's like the cockroaches in the city, New York City, or anywhere, and they spray cockroach spray and they keep spraying it. Eventually it doesn't kill them because they adapt to it. You know. So anyway, our data reveals additional clues of ongoing viral evolution and potential human adaptation. A team led by Joanna Isierdo, a geneticist with the National Institute of Health, Dr. Ricardo Jorge in Spain, wrote in the new peer-reviewed blah 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 for Nature magazine. Monkeypox first made The leap from monkeys to or rodents to people in the Democratic Republic of the Congo in 1970, and has frequently flared up in Africa in the decades since. There are two main strains, one each in West Africa and Central Africa. The milder West African strain can be fatal in up to 1% of the cases. More dangerous one in Central Africa can kill up to 10% of the people it affects. Guess which one we have here in the U.S.? Monkeypox spreads through close physical contact, especially sexual contact. They initially put it on the gays. If you're a male homosexual, like HIV, how it was spread back in the day, they're putting it on the gays again. It's like, don't have gay sex, you're going to spread monkeypox. Ugh. The virus can also travel short distances on spittle, those big sloppy wet kisses, although probably not far enough to qualify as airborne. So airborne or aerosolized is a matter of time and a tipping point. If something's going to become aerosolized, airborne, as the virus keeps evolving and keeps changing and keeps living, it's going to adapt, and that's what they do. You know, they're not really alive, but they are in a like an artificial intelligence sense. They're what they do is they get to the positive cell, they infect it, and they replicate, and it's like that with COVID-19. COVID-19 hits your cell, and then your cell has all these protein spikes on the cell. That's really what the vaccines are for. The vaccines are for helping your immune system identify the protein spikes. You know, so you get an early start on fighting the virus rather than the virus taking hold and your immune system popping to the point where it's fighting the virus, and so on and so on, which takes time, could take a few days. With COVID 19, there's a lot of people who died. There's a lot of people who lost loved ones and the whole bit, and they died fast. It's a fast targeting case of pneumonia, is what it really is. It fills your lungs full of fluid. It's called SARS-CoV-2. It's a SARS virus. You know, it's a respiratory syndrome, but in the same sense, it has since then mutated and changed. Now affects other organs. You have encephalopathy going on in the brain swelling. You know, your heart swelling. You got other types, you know, I mean, there are people that lose their kidney functions from it. It's not just a SARS virus. It's something that's evolved into something way worse, which I'm sure it was designed to do. You know? In 2003, 47 people in the U.S. got sick with a West African strain after exposure from pet rodents from Ghana to Texas. Pet rodents. I don't get you guys with the pet rodents. I can see having a cat or a dog or whatever. If you got a rat, you know, they only live a couple of years anyway. But yeah, ugh, gross. From Africa, this is my African rat who gave me monkeypox. A rapid response by state and federal officials and a few doses of smallpox vaccine. Can't forget about smallpox, right? Which also works on monkeypox, prevented anyone dying temporarily. Oh, you got to see what happens to them though, and they get all scarred up and whatever. It's not pretty, and you don't want to be the guy at the bar with the person. Hey, what happened to you? Oh, monkeypox. Monkeypox. That I'd make up any story. I rushed into a burning building to save a baby. This is what happened to me. Oh, you brave man. Yes. Yep. And that baby grew up to be a killer. Killed his parents. I like telling people crazy stories. There used to be this house across the way from me back in the day. That was always for rent, right? And then you know, people go in there, rent it out and whatever, and then I'd be out there messing around in my car, doing something or working out in my garage. Talk to these people, say, "Hey, what's up? You know, nice neighborhood. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything's great. Yeah." And I'm like, yeah, you know, you rented a good house and it looks like it's solid, nice bones, nice layout. It's too bad those last people killed so many animals in the basement. You know? They're like, what? Oh yeah, it was terrible. Of course, nobody killed animals in their basement, you know, to my knowledge, but it's just a funny thing to say if you have a sense of humor like that. Oh, you tell them how haunted it is too. That's always fun. Oh, this last family ran out of there screaming in the middle of the night, vowed never to come back. Arr. Let's see. All right, so you're going through monkeypox. Monkeypox is pretty bad. Let's see. June 3rd, CDC announced it had found genetic evidence of U.S. monkeypox cases, and this was the worst strain, of course. So what do you do? I don't know. Try to avoid it, man. I avoid people for COVID-19. I don't want freaking COVID-19. I still wear my mask here and there. I don't have to run out. I'm not really a nut about it. I know the rate of exposure, and I also know me, and I know I don't hang around people. Period. End of sentence. I live through the Instacart. You know what I mean, or other stuff. I mean, like I really don't even like have any patience to stand online. Instacart really spoiled me terribly, man. And it's cheaper. Saves me gas. What it costs gas to get to the supermarket from where I am, freaking 15, 20 bucks in gas just to go get some overpriced food. What else do we have? Man, this hour went fast. They got a new Elvis movie out. Lisa Marie Presley's going through generational trauma. I don't know. She spent his money fast enough. Generational trauma. You know what? The kids are famous people. Ugh, that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. You got a lot of them making comments. Even that Jennifer Aniston, we talked about that, I think, on last week's show, whatever it was. Her going after Kardashians or people famous for not being famous, and she had like a real twisted attitude. There's a girl who has no acting ability whatsoever with famous parents. Let's talk about kids of famous parents who have no acting ability. Charlie Sheen, you know, they only have the personality they were born with, and that's it. And they put them in these. You could have put anybody in that role on Friends, any halfway decent looking girl in that role, and they would have excelled. Probably even done better with no acting ability, nothing. So when these guys, you know what, Elvis Presley, nobody cares about Elvis anymore. Do you think how many young people are out there? I love Elvis, man. Oh, I love it. I love it. No, 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 no. It applies to a group that's basically 60 and over at this point. They're making a movie. Elvis looks kind of Latino. I thought it was La Bamba for a minute. I'm like, is that Elvis? That was kind of funny. But they're making a play just for people's money who remember Elvis Presley, who want to see the stupid movie. Elvis was Elvis. I mean, but is he relevant today? So there's a lot of people like, I used to dabble in the antique business and I kind of stay up on collectibles. And, it's always nice to buy and sell if you see something cool at a garage sale or whatever and you can move it along. And, like Frank Sinatra, that stuff used to be high end 20 years ago. People wanted it and it was relevant. Now nobody wants it. Nobody remembers Frank Sinatra. Elvis, same thing. Nobody really remembers Elvis. They know the name, they might know the story, they know he was kind of a wackadoodle, but they certainly don't know the behind the scenes and all that. Yeah, why would you want to anyway? And okay, lastly, let's do this. UK troops filmed having an orgy at the barracks, barred from NATO deployment. So if you don't want to go to war, have an orgy. Have an orgy in your barracks. Oi. I love the British. Oi. Hey, that's Australian. Good day, mate. Got any orgies? Hundreds of British paratroopers were banned. Hundreds banned from a NATO deployment after videos surfaced of an orgy with a civilian woman in the barracks. One woman, hundreds of paratroopers. There's something. She's special. That's special right there. My God. 8 paratroopers serving in the UK's 16 Air Assault Brigade were under police investigation for over a video of them having sex with a civilian woman who had been snuck into the Merville barracks in Colchester. Colchester. It was revealed earlier this month that these guys were horny bastards. The woman had been snuck into the barracks as many as 31 times over the past 5 months. 31 times. And how many? hundreds, 31 times. Yeah, she's active. The UK's new head of the army, General Sir Patrick Sanders, told his General, I wanted Colonel Sanders. I want, what is it, Colonel Sanders? You got a chicken? Colonel Sanders? Anyway, told his generals and commanding officers in a letter that he would not risk the mission or reputation of the British Army by sending troops abroad. He also said, "How come I wasn't invited?" Oh, there you go. That's the real reason, man. Although military police ultimately determined that no crime was committed, what about smuggling somebody on base when they're not supposed to be on base? That's a crime. What if she was a terrorist? Sanders reportedly said in the later incident, the incident could have been appeared to degenerate women and was against the army's values. So it wasn't against the woman's values to degenerate herself. And all of a sudden, you have to be the moral majority for the pigs out there who have no self worth or no self respect, or they go out there and you hear all that stuff. There's sex workers and they're important too, and whatever. Here's sex workers. You know what? These people have to resort to selling their body because they need the money. They're not doing it because they're liking it, or maybe some of them do, but a very small percentage. They're doing it out of a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. Is that their economy is so bad, and that's the thing that they can do. But this woman to degenerate a female's values, so you're going to start lending reputation to people that don't deserve it, right? My message to the army is clear. Oh, let me read it, British. My message to the army is clear. Our license to operate is founded on trust and confidence and also bullshit. And we must also hold ourselves to the highest standards. Sanders wrote. He added, such behavior is unacceptable. Only for the king and queen and other people like that, but not for you plain, plain old piggies out there. It's unacceptable. It's corrosive and detrimental to the army's reputation of killing. Yeah, we don't want people thinking that we're horny. I am not prepared to risk the NATO mission or reputation of the British Army by deploying three para at this time. So obviously, he just gave away to some kind of NATO mission going on. I think we can guess what that is. The news of the orgy follows a series of incidents during an exercise in North Macedonia in May when several soldiers were accused of unprofessional behavior during the drill. You know, guys in Vietnam used to do crazy stuff to try to get out of the war. Even in Korea, you remember that show MASH? That dude Klinger dressing up, he's a transvestite, right? Dressing up in women's clothing and whatever. And they didn't send him out. They tolerated him and kept him. So you want to get out of war? Have an orgy. That's something right there. At least it's better than shooting yourself in the foot, But all that reputation stuff and all that degeneration of women, they it, you really can't be the conscience of people like that, and they are what they are. So I'm going to leave it like that. You have to have value in yourself, right? It's that simple. So, anyways, I'll see you guys next week on this Red Pill News. Have a lovely time, y'all. Adios, muchachos.